What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 90 of the Sorta Interesting podcast, and welcome to our third week of Monster Month, where we are reviewing horror/monster movies all throughout the spooky season of October. I am your host. My name is Christian Patam, and with me, as always, is the spooky, scary skeleton himself. He will send shivers down your spine. He will shock your soul and seal your doom tonight. Myles, darling. Myles, darling, how you doing?
Good.
Are you ready for Halloween? What are you doing for Halloween, by the way? I don't think we've even talked about Halloween plans. Do you even do anything for Halloween, first of all? Do you dress up? Do you give out the candies?
No. I have never really celebrated Halloween in its entirety because I don't really dress up, not since I was a little kid. I never planned it out, but having a girlfriend, that kind of changes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, what did you guys do last year? You guys did Anyone Can Cook, right? Was that last year? That might have been 2 years ago, that Ratatouille.
Hold on, sorry.
No worries. That's when duty calls.
She's calling me right now.
She's asking you about the costumes. That's what she's asking about, yeah.
Last year I was
what is his name? Linguini,
and I had
God, I love Ratatouille though. What a fucking
mouse right here that I pinned here. And then she was Colette.
Did she do a French accent though? Because if you're gonna dress up, I need method acting. You know what I mean? If not, don't even bother with the costume if you're not gonna method act the whole night. But Myles, let's get into a side podcast here. Myles, I want to start with table topics, and I want to end it with a trailer that I've already seen, and I apologize for already watching it, but it is the new Batman trailer that debuted yesterday on DC's Fandom. Myles has yet to see it. Good man over there. He was able to resist, but I was watching the Fandom live, and I couldn't help myself. You know, the whole event itself was so caca that I needed something to redeem my 2 hours of lost time. So I watched the trailer, and I wanted it to be a fresh reaction, but we'll get a fresh reaction from Myles, and I want to watch it again. I only watched it once. So but let's get into favorite segment of the podcast right here, table topics.
God, that case is just
I know, right? It's so extra. Why do I need this? Just put it into like a little card case. Why do I need this whole thing? And as always, if we don't like the question, we can always pick something else, but let's see what we got here. Oh, this is a good one. Who is the funniest person alive? Funniest person alive. Man, that is really hard to think about. My mind automatically goes to comedians, right? Of course, they do that shit for a goddamn living. So, man, that's a good question too. Yeah. Who is your favorite comedian? Do you have a favorite comedian of all time?
I do have a favorite comedian, and I it's probably not a surprise to you. It's Bill Burr. Bill Burr is probably my favorite comedian as far as being consistent with his comedy. I don't know. It something about him. He's older, to us, but he still hits. Like it's funny. It's his take on things. It's his like outlandish kind of like metaphors to things that he relates it to, and he just pulls shit out of his ass sometimes when he's talking about something, and it's hilarious to hear him rant and rave. And I want to say.
It's funny too because he's not completely out of touch, but he's just enough out of touch where it's funny to like us who understand. But he's still in it, you know. He's on Netflix. He's on, you know, he posts YouTube videos. He's on social media, so he's not completely out of it. But his rants, man, that show that we went to in Las Vegas too, it was so fucking good. He lived up to all the hype, and just the amount of people that were there. Remember that goddamn line that we were in, Myles? Oh my
god!
I was not expecting
the Cosmopolitan. I was in parts of Cosmopolitan. I was like, shit, I've never been here before.
First of all, fucking Cosmopolitan, get your shit together. The goddamn taxi drive over there Jesus Christ, man. They need to fix something, because that line just to get into the parking structure is like, all the way out to the street and shit. So
we had to get out in the middle of the fucking street.
We had to get out, walk all the way through the casino, and we barely made it. Like, literally, as we were sitting down in our seat, the first comedian was going up. So thank God, because that line was unbelievable. Going to the other end of the goddamn casino, like literally from the amphitheater to the other end of the casino. But yeah, lived up to the hype though, for sure. That show, amazing show. But oh man, yeah. What were you were about to say something?
Yeah, I was. I'm trying to think, because there's people that I have like worked with that I've like, and they're just, there's one of those people that just anything they say is hilarious.
You know what? I have a theory about that before you carry on, just to interrupt you a little bit. But people working blue-collar jobs are the fucking funniest people you will ever meet in your life. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because of just like the work that's involved that like makes people, need to cope at work somehow. And, that's how they're, that's how they deal with things. It's because
you don't have to compose an email.
That's true.
That they have to CC their bosses in.
HR is very far away from where you're at. Yeah.
Exactly. And they can just be, in a sense, themselves. And, I don't feel bad for laughing at anything. I'm just like, it's unfiltered. It's raw. It's the best comedy you could get is on a construction site sometimes, it's great. Like some of the funniest dudes that I've ever met, I've worked with. But, as far as consistency goes, like I'm gonna say Bill Burr, my favorite of all time. But shout out to construction.
Yeah, for sure. Bill Burr is definitely up there for me. But I'd say, man, that's such a good question. I'd say maybe like Eddie Murphy in terms of his comedy. Also, Eddie Murphy was up there as probably one of the best that I've seen. Even though he was a little before our time, it's still one of the best comedy specials of all time.
Raw,
I'd say
or
Raw or Delirious as well.
Delirious, yeah.
But a comedian that I got into stand-up comedy through and was George Lopez. I don't know if you've heard any of his stand-up comedy specials, but me growing up in a town full of a majority of Mexican people, so I couldn't get away from George Lopez. He had this his TV show at the time, which one of the biggest sitcoms of all time, waking up at 2-3 in the morning to to that Lowrider song all the time,
jumping on trampolines and
shout out to Carmen from that show, but who didn't have a crush on Carmen while watching that show? I mean, she was, oh my god, she was basically the Ren Stevens from Even Stevens of the George Lopez show. Ren Stevens, by the way, still to this day, just choice, aging like a fine wine. But yeah, George Lopez, man. Even though his comedy's a little dated at this point now, but he's still doing the thing. He has his own podcast now. And he's still relevant with other comedians. He's always on like Bobby Lee's podcast and stuff like that. But he really set the stage for a bunch of Latin comedians. It set the stage for Carlos Mencia, even though he stole a lot of his jokes and they really hated each other. But he really paved the path for him. But man, his comedy was so fucking funny to me. Even though I'm not Mexican, I was able to relate through the people around me. So it's very funny. But
I gotta add on to your question. Did you finish your thought there?
No, I'm good. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we got kind of I want to know. It's an add-on to this question, because it's hard to pick. Like I hate that question. Who is your favorite? Or what is your favorite? Because it's like
it's hard to choose. Yeah,
always in the mood for that one particular thing. I'm not always that. Like it's multiple things,
and favorites change all the time too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Who is on your Mount Rushmore of comedians?
Oh God, comedians.
And I'm not gonna say Mount Rushmore is in 4. We're gonna round it out to 5. We'll take 5. 5 comedians, dead or alive.
See, that's tricky. Yeah, that's kind of tricky because I just barely got into probably stand-up comedy, probably less than less than 10 years ago, probably about like 5 or 6 years ago when I did listen to George Lopez, but that was about it growing up. I didn't find out till, Chris Rock and Eddie Murphy's comedy till way later, because, they were just actors by the time we were old enough to be watching that stuff. So, I'd say Chris Rock and Eddie Murphy, two right there. I'll put Bill Burr up there as well. Here's a controversial one. I'm not going to put Dave Chappelle up there. I'm not a big fan of Dave Chappelle's comedy. I love him in the Dave Chappelle show. I like him as a person, but his comedy just never really hit there for me. So yeah, I got three. I'll put George Lopez up there, and I'm gonna put Russell Peters up there as well. Russell Peters, another person that we also saw live. So Russell Peters, another one of my first introductions into comedy as well. So yeah. A lot of racial stuff. I just noticing like they're all basically like race comedians, and I just love that shit. I think it's my favorite genre of comedy is all the racial stuff.
Oh yeah,
it's so taboo, and I love it so much. It's dark,
very raunchy comedy is what I'm into. I'm gonna go ahead and start it off with the controversial one, Dave Chappelle.
Okay,
this is in no particular order.
Yeah,
I love Dave Chappelle. His comedy hits for me. Even now, he's evolving, and it's kind of becoming more and more like introspective kind of comedy rather than just like
social commentary stuff.
Yeah, social commentary stuff, and then as opposed to just like here's a punchline, Bill Burr, Dave Attell.
Oh, Dave Attell, that's a good one.
Dave Attell is one of those guys he's a comedian's comedian.
Oh yeah, he is everyone's favorite comedian for sure. Every podcast you listen to with these comedians always have nothing but good things to say about Dave Attell.
I'm gonna put Louis C.K.
Oh man, I should have put that on there. Fuck, I'm thinking.
It's never too late. And
man,
to round it out,
I totally forgot about Louis. Fuck.
I'm probably gonna put Eddie Murphy up there. He was his Raw and Delirious especially, because that's the one I watched first, and that was the one that I was that was like the first like raunchy comedy that I ever saw, and I was beside I didn't get some of them until like later when I could watch it, when I could understand it.
A lot of sexual jokes in there.
Yeah,
you don't get till way later. Yeah.
Oh man, as far as like physical comedy goes too, some of his stuff is the best too.
I'd say probably best physical comedian for me is Jim Carrey. Still, I mean that man, his physical presence is so fucking good. Every goddamn movie he's in. I love. Yeah.
Okay,
Jim
well
Carrey.
we'll stick to this being stand up.
Yeah, stand up. Man, but yeah, when we saw that Bill Burr, man, and even what's his name, Russell Peters, even that was live. That it wasn't as good. I don't think as his other stuff that I heard. Maybe he was trying to try some stuff out for a special or something. But yeah, that was pretty good. I thought his openers were really funny though. When we went to go see Russell Peters, he had Jesus Trejo on there, another Mexican comedian, really funny. Even the openers for Bill Burr were okay as well. I think maybe the guy who went right before him, I think he was the voice actor in that Efforts for Family. He was really funny.
Yeah, that's right.
That guy was really good. The opener was okay. He kind of seemed like kind of a newbie still, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Russell Peters as honorable mention. I also want to put Bo Burnham, and I want to put Daniel Tosh.
Daniel Tosh had a great comedy special.
Yeah.
Bo Burnham, I watched his most recent one. Did you watch that one? The one where he was the quarantine one? I liked the majority of it. It was really good. But towards the end, when he was kind of like going crazy from the whole quarantine thing, I was like, all right, like there's people like dying out there. There's people who are losing their homes and stuff, and you're just hanging out at home. Like life's not that difficult for you. You know what I mean? So I was kind of just. I was just like
I took it all as I took it all as a joke.
Oh, you took that as a joke as well? I thought he got pretty serious in some of that stuff at towards the end where he was.
I can see
he was talking about he was working on that thing for a whole year and
I can see that. I mean, I understand. There was a lot going on. People cope different ways. People do things differently, and I think that the creativity of that. I had never seen something like that.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, that was one of the most creative things I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he was making that shit in like the space that I'm in right now.
Yeah.
And the production value of that stuff, I was like, how the hell do you have like the lighting in this? I was like, man, this is amazing what he was able to do. Like, it's yeah.
Yeah, he's still young, so he's got a lot going on if he doesn't kill himself.
Yeah.
Jeez,
I haven't seen his other stand-up specials. I know he plays a lot of music, right? That's what I learned from this one here. He plays a lot on the piano, which I'm not really a fan of musical comedy like that. Like, I'm not a fan of that stuff. I'm not a fan of like the guy who does like the puppet. That stuff just never really got to me. I never thought that stuff was funny. Even clean comedy, I'm like, there's some clean stuff like what's his name, the super white guy, the Hot Pockets guy, Jim Gaffigan.
Oh, Jim Gaffigan.
That's probably the most
funny.
Yeah, that's probably the most
He's
funny I'll find
too.
clean comedy. That's probably the best clean comedy I've ever heard. Is that Jim Gaffigan?
That's
stuff.
true. That's very
so
true.
fucking good.
Wow.
Even like the other kind of outdated stuff now, all that redneck stuff with Larry the Cable Guy, like that stuff is actually really funny if you listen to it. I haven't like what's his name, the Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader guy? That guy's actually really
Jeff
funny.
Foxworthy,
dude. That he had.
I used to watch that. The Blue Collar Comedy Tour.
Yes, they were actually so good, and they made
Bill Engvall.
Yeah, Bill Engvall, Ron White. Ron White is fucking hilarious as well.
He is hilarious.
Yeah, so good.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, all that redneck comedy stuff, I wish they would come back because, man, that stuff was so good. It was such a small period of time where that stuff was popular, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. I think they got made fun of for too much or something, but they also made a shitload of money. Like, if you see all their houses, they have, like, full-on estates. So I could see why they don't do that stuff anymore. But yeah, let's get into enough comedy here. Let's get into this trailer, Myles. This new Batman trailer coming out. I believe they put the date on there. I think it's November 2022, so still a little like over a year away. God. If I'm remembering that right, I might not be remembering that right. But
dude, I'm really not looking forward to not seeing that.
Batman trailer, just the Batman, starring Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne. We got what's her name, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, and Colin Farrell as the Penguin, which I'm very excited about. Paul Dano also as a Riddler. But let's go ahead and get into this trailer.
I saw something about Paul Dano just loves getting his face caved in by people.
He does get beat up in everything, doesn't he? I'm very excited to see a dark version of Riddler. The only live-action Riddler we've ever had is that Jim Carrey.
Jimothy.
And that was so silly. I'm ready to see a dark version finally.
That green suit. Jeez.
That orange hair.
Is a tool. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning.
Dude, he's taking shots directly to the chest. We never see no Batman do that.
I've been trying to reach you. Fire the gun! This is about a king, and Riddler's the match.
I can take care of myself.
I am such a huge fan of Zoe. Oh my goodness.
It won't be long before you've nothing left.
Hey,
Andy fucking Serkis, let's go.
It's only gonna get worse for you.
Whoa, take it easy, sweetheart. Hear everything they say, ain't you?
Maybe we're not so different. Who are you under there?
Dude, what the fuck is he wearing? How is it blocking all those bullets? Jesus.
What's black and blue and dead all over? You.
Dick.
I got you! I got you!
those prosthetics are crazy. It looks nothing like Colin
I know.
Farrell.
What the hell, dude? That's. I like how that red.
March 4th.
This-
Just kidding.
the-
March.
The logo when it comes in, the title.
Yeah.
Reminds
Oh,
me of, like, the
amazing.
Batman,
it comes
the,
back like that, yeah.
The animated. The one. God, what was that? The skinny Batman.
Batman Beyond, the anime.
Yeah,
Oh
something like
man,
that.
yeah, Batman Beyond is awesome. But very much looking forward to that. Robert Pattinson, I love Robert Pattinson.
Me too.
Even though Twilight, I never really watched those movies, so I don't know. I can't talk about that. But yeah, he's an amazing actor, man. I love Robert Pattinson. I'm still on the fence about the suit, though. I don't know if I love it, to be honest. It's very. It is supposed to be year
You can't change it up
one.
too much without angering people, and you can't do enough without angering others. So, damned if you do, damned if you don't, kind of. You know.
It is more of a gritty kind of environment that he's in now, and it is supposed to be kind of like year one stuff. So maybe he will get like a suit upgrade at the end of this movie, or maybe it's just a little makeshift suit that he makes. But very excited for that. Andy Serkis as Alfred there. I think this is the first footage we've seen of him in this trailer too. So. Yeah, very much looking forward to that. Colin Farrell, crazy prosthetics on there. Looks nothing like how he looks in real life. So, I don't know about the Brooklyn, like New York accent either. I think they should have let him have a British accent like he does in the cartoons and the comics and stuff. So, but we'll see about that.
Who is he playing?
He's playing the Penguin.
The Penguin, that's right.
That's why I'm like the British or New York accent. Not probably going to sound overdone coming from an Irish man, but we'll see about that.
The Irish.
But if you would like to hear more content like what you just heard, you can donate to our Patreon at patreon.com/sortainteresting, where you could donate at the $1 level. Myles, if the beautiful people would like to hear the back catalog of our podcast, where can they find us?
Since you're still streaming this, why don't you go to sortainteresting.com, which is where we can look up our site.
There it is. That's our site right here. Yeah.
Look at that. It's all there on that left side. But really, you scroll through here. Look at that. Look at this.
I put all the
collection.
All the thumbnails right here. So
podcasts from the past.
Look at all these
Even
old
shows.
ones, man.
Oh
Spider-Man that we did. Yeah, I got the
whole Spider-Man.
All the Spider-Mans, Dragon Ball Z that we started. Yeah, the old.
We started Super. We never got through that.
Got a bunch of old stuff on here that we did in 2018. Rocky. Yeah, all the way back to the start of Ready Player One, May 2nd, 2018 was our first podcast out there. So, no video for that, but it's all audio, which you could listen to that on our site, or you could go to SoundCloud and listen to that as well.
Yeah, you can go to SoundCloud, you can go to Spotify, you can go to a podcast app if you're on Apple. I mean, anywhere that podcasts are distributed, we are there. Also YouTube, go to youtube.com, you search Sorta Interesting, and we are there. Or if that's too much for you, just go to Google. Just type in your search bar Sorta Interesting. We're gonna pop up in one form or another. All our links are there.
Or that whole first page, baby. We locked it down, that whole first page. So, yeah, every link on there. You got the iTunes, got the YouTubes.
You got the YouTubes.
You got the Spotify's on there. So, yeah, please go check us out on Spotify as well. I always forget to mention that. But it's basically where all podcasts are distributed, where you could find us. Myles, let's get into some production details for The Mummy, where we are reviewing The Mummy 2017 remake starring Tom Cruise, not the Brendan Fraser version. Release date June 9th, 2017. Director Alex Kurtzman, known for one other movie called People Like Us, and writer David Koepp, which I did not realize, a writer we featured on this podcast before many times. Writer of Jurassic Park, writer of Mission Impossible, The Lost World, Jurassic Park. Spider-Man, War of the Worlds, Zathura. It's you're right. It's basically mostly all Universal movies there. A budget of $125 million and a box office of $410 million, which was pretty good. But top movies of that year were Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Oh, Jesus, The Last Jedi. Don't get me started. I saw that one twice in the goddamn movie theaters, hoping that it would be better the second time around. Very sorely mistaken there. Also, Beauty and the Beast, the live-action remake
I saw that.
with Emma Watson, which was fucking terrible, man. It was bad. I hated it. I could not stand that shit. Yeah, really bad. And The
Saw that in
Fate of the
theaters.
Furious. Yeah, I did too. I saw it in the movie theaters. Fucking
Did you watch that by
terrible.
yourself or on a date? Please tell me it was on a date.
Not on a date. No, I went with Griselda. Yeah,
Yeah,
just went for fun, and it
Yeah.
was terrible. Did not like it, but I didn't like any of those live action remakes. I didn't like The Jungle Book. I didn't like Beauty and the Beast. I didn't like Aladdin either. I didn't like any of them.
Lion King, yeah. I
Lion King.
I tolerated Aladdin, and it was okay. And you know what I did see? I saw Aladdin over at Segerstrom Theater. I saw
the
performance.
the
Aladdin.
play. Yeah,
I think that kind of like coaxed me into this live
I was
action.
supposed to go
because
watch that. Yeah.
seeing live action, like
Did you ever watch
that-
the Lion King one? When that
The
was
live
out?
action?
Yeah, that was like a long time ago. That was like when we were
oh, you're
kids.
talking about and dude, I had a chance to see it in Vegas, but
Ooh.
we saw Stomp instead.
Stomp. What is a stomp? I never.
That
even heard of
was
that one.
when they were using like they looked all of them looked homeless, and then they were jumping around the set on stage, and they were banging the damn drum. No, they were banging on trash can lids, making music from like random objects, and just like
What?
they're basically making music from random objects
Okay.
on stage. And it was cool. Like it sounded dope.
I feel like I would like that for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then I'd be like, okay, this is. I
where's
got
the
it.
story?
Yeah. Like I got it. Yeah, I understand what you
I
guys are
would have
doing here.
loved to see Lion King.
Yeah,
you
Lion
know?
King was dope, but unfortunately, I was very young when I watched that, and I kind of fell asleep because plays are fucking like 3 hours long, and this play started out, like 6 p.m. So it was already definitely past my bedtime. Yeah,
Way
so.
past your bedtime now too.
Oh yeah, today that's 3 hours past my bedtime now. Yeah, box office. The last movie there was the Fate of the Furious. Then a runtime of 1 hour and 50 minutes, which I really appreciate all these monster movies that we've been reviewing. All very short, thank God. Because anything over 2 hours, I'm like, all right, that's it's a lot of work for me to watch through all that and do the work there. But initial impressions of The Mummy 2017 remake, Myles. I'm interested to see this because you and I have not talked about this since you watched it. So.
We have not, and I just watched this.
Yeah.
So, I obviously see what has been written about it before I watched it. So there's that in the back of my head. I'll start off with what I like. I like where the movie was going to go.
Yes.
The direction that you got when we saw when there was certain names popping up, there
Son
were
of a
certain
bitch,
people, and then I was hopeful, but then you realize this is what we got to start, and they did not even let it take off. This was a movie they tried to cram a lot in, I feel like, and they had a lot of dead weight. I don't know. It just didn't feel like a Mummy movie. It didn't feel like it felt like they were trying to do something different when they didn't need to. I feel like the Mummy movies were fine the way they were, and they could have used that to do. They could have piggybacked off of those and then just gone into what they were gonna do. Because if I'm not mistaken, they had The Bride of Frankenstein slated after this.
Oh, really?
Introduce the next character in this dark universe.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, looking back, it just was not a good movie in my opinion. It was better than I thought it was gonna be. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I liked it better than what was put in my head by these reviews. But that's about it. I mean, I don't have much more to say about this movie. It kind of failed to live up to what I.
What did you think
remember
of the
hype.
ending of this movie? Because that's my biggest gripe with this movie was the ending. Like I'm still deciding whether or not I like the ending because I know they're what they're trying to make Tom Cruise kind of the face of this new, monster universe for Universal. But I don't know if I'm agreeing with that direction they were going though.
Yeah, like I said, I don't agree with it because I think that they could have just piggybacked off the other mummies. I feel like this movie could have just been.
So you wanted this to be a direct sequel to the Brendan Fraser series?
I don't think this movie needed to be made.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
think
I
this
thought.
movie
That's what I also
needed
thought.
to be
Yeah,
made
yeah.
at all. I would have omitted this entire movie. I don't think Tom Cruise should be the face of it. I think nothing against Tom Cruise. I just didn't see it. I just really did not see it. He had like this. I don't know. At the end, we got this like kind of like supernatural kind of like movement, which was kind of like cool.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I said. I said that's cool. I think like at the end, I've seen this movie twice now, and then I watched it again yesterday, and I was like, fuck. I'm literally have the same reaction that I had, fucking 3 or 4 years ago whenever this movie came out, 2017. So I had the same exact reaction, like, fuck, is that cool? I think it's cool. I don't know if it's cool.
I didn't see enough of it for it to be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what he can and can't do. Who is he? What is he doing? Like, what he can just bring people back. He is a god.
A lot of open doors that they opened up for future movies unfortunately didn't get to them, so that's why it feels like there should be more. But
I can tell you how bummed out I was though at the end. Well, let me thought here.
Go ahead.
On my first impression, I can't tell you how bummed I was when this movie ended, and I'm looking stuff up, and I'm just like, what could have been?
I know, man.
What could have been, and we'll get into that.
Oh, definitely. But I remember I saw this movie, not in the movie theater, but it was definitely the same year it came out. But I resisted watching this in the movie theater. I was so angry when they announced this movie. I love the Mummy movie so much with Brendan Fraser. Such a soft spot in my heart. So I was angry. Just the same reason why you're angry. They don't need to make this movie. We already have perfect Mummy movies, and they tried with the Mummy 3 with older version of his son. That didn't make it. So why would you think another Mummy movie would even help at all? But it's just blasphemous that they decided to do a remake already of a perfect movie, and I'm still deciding if I like this movie, to be honest. I like the things that they're setting up, like you said, with this monster universe with Russell Crowe's character. But the emphasis wasn't on the mummy itself, which is what it was lacking. It was more of the universe they're trying to build. It was more on the powers that Tom Cruise was getting. But the mummy was such a small part of this movie. It was just a little kind of right-hand man of the bigger power that's going to happen. But a lot of the comedy in this, terrible. Like, I hated all the jokes that Tom Cruise was trying to do. We saw exactly what he was trying to do. He was trying to be Brendan Fraser from the original Mummy movies with a lot of like cool quips and stuff like that. But Brendan Fraser is just such a more funnier actor than Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is way too serious of an actor to be doing funny stuff like that. So I did like the action though. A lot of the action scenes actually reminded me of like Mission Impossible stuff. All like the underwater stuff, and a lot of Tom Cruise just getting in fights and stuff. It kind of reminded me of Mission Impossible stunts and stuff like that.
And
yeah.
Tom Cruise did.
Oh yeah,
all of, if not most of the scenes that required stunts.
It's not a Tom Cruise movie unless he's putting his fucking life on the line
or running.
Yeah, or running.
Running.
The best on-screen runner of all time, probably Tom Cruise, hands down. The best on-screen.
What's funny? I saw a man, what did I see? Somebody was talking about this, but like they were talking about best on-screen runners, and it wasn't Tom Cruise.
What?
Although Tom Cruise is up there with me.
Blasphemous.
It's from Terminator 2.
Oh, Robert Patrick. Oh my God, how can I fucking forget?
Terminator 2. He had to do a strict, like, rigorous workout routine where he learned to run and breathe.
Yes.
Specifically just through his nose while keeping stoic.
Amazing.
Because that was like, dude, when you see him,
it's terrifying how fucking fast he is. I remember I also looked up some trivia about this a long time ago, but he would catch the motorcycle on a couple of takes. So he was so fast he would catch the motorcycle like as it was going full speed. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. Terminator 2. I don't Terminator 1 was nothing compared to Terminator 2 now that I'm thinking about it. I hated Terminator 1. Terminator 1, shout out to Terminator 1, first pair of boobs I ever saw on TV, by the way.
Nice.
I remember watching it with my dad, and then he told me to turn around as that scene was happening, and he fast forwarded it, and I turned back around real quick to look, and then he's like, no, don't look. And there's titties on the screen. So I was like, yes, I got it. I fucking got it. And that memory has been in my mind for fucking 25 years probably. I remember watching that very little. I was like, yes, I saw the boobies. Thank you very much. But yeah, as you said, what were you saying? Sorry, you were gonna say something more.
Oh no, I was talking about like just on-screen runners. Because you were talking about it wouldn't be a movie without Tom Cruise like doing action sequences and running and it just would not be a Tom Cruise movie without him doing
I mean, go watch Mission Impossible 3 if you want to see Tom Cruise run, because that man runs through almost the whole country of China in that, and he's rocking a tight shirt. His pecs are fucking out there. Yeah, he's got an amazing form too, and he's yelling in Chinese for people to get out of the way. Dang Chai, Dang Chai, and he's fucking just he's climbing rooftops and shit. He's amazing. But yeah, I mean, let's go back to this initial impressions here. In terms of the building of the universe, I think that's my favorite part about this movie. Unfortunately, the mummy aspects fell a little short for me, but just the laying down the foundation of this future universe with Russell Crowe being the head of this kind of this little company that's going to be fighting evil in the dark universe. What could have been, Myles? Imagine Russell Crowe being like the Professor X of this like little, company of dark villains and stuff. Like, fuck, man. So disappointed.
With it was going to be called the Dark Army.
Dark Army, amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there was another movie. I think it's the something with Dracula. There was another movie that was supposed to be part of this universe as well, but that never kind of joined forces with this. And of course, other actors were supposed to be joining this with Johnny Depp and
Javier
Bardem. Yeah. But
I'll just go through this one then real quick.
Yeah,
I'll go through this. This film was intended to be the first installment in a film universe known as Dark Universe. Javier Bardem had already been announced as Frankenstein's monster in Bill Condon's Bride of Frankenstein.
Man.
And that was supposed to be after this Mummy reboot. Johnny Depp was gearing up to play the titular. I can never say that.
Titular.
I want to say tits.
I know.
Boobular character in The Invisible Man. Other movies planned were Creature of the Black Lagoon.
That one I was looking forward to.
Yeah, how would they get? Dude, I have not seen.
I haven't seen the original, so I have no idea.
Right?
Yeah,
and I don't really plan on seeing the original because it's so old and everything. All this shit is dated. I want to see some new, updated shit of this. Like,
I would love to see what they would do with Frankenstein, because Frankenstein as a character very boring. But if he's gonna be kind of like a character on his own after the movie, I would love to see what they would do with him. If he would be talking more, if he would be some kind of brute like a Hulk kind of character, would be like super strong and stuff, and they use him as the muscle. But I don't know how that would.
I could see that, and I don't know. Yeah, it's hard, but we'll never know. It fucking sucks.
God damn these people.
Maybe not now. So the other movies planned were Creature of the Black Lagoon, The Wolfman, Van Helsing, and Dracula, as well as Dark Army, where several of the monsters would team up. However, plans for a shared film narrative were canceled after this film was a critical and commercial failure.
Man, Wolfman, honestly, I thought Benicio del Toro will get there next week. Next week we're reviewing Wolfman, but if they would have included him in this universe, I would not be mad, because Benicio del Toro, fantastic actor, and that Wolfman movie is actually very good. But Creature from the Black Lagoon for sure is one of those where I need someone to reboot that like ASAP. We have not had that in like 100 years.
There's large disconnect between it. Like we got some of Dracula and Van Helsing with
and don't they dare? How dare they try to remake Van Helsing? Do not even fucking touch that series. You bring back Hugh Jackman as Van Helsing in this dark universe. Don't fuck. It would be perfect too, because he was immortal in that movie, right? So he would totally been able to fit in. Yeah, Gabriel.
But would he? Oh no, wait. But he wouldn't, because you'd have a new Wolfman. That's right. You'd have. Yeah. Work.
He could still make it work.
Yeah, dude, he got that vaccine. That's
and
right.
He's older too now. I mean, he could have absolutely joined this movie.
Oh yeah, dude.
It would have fit with the timeline.
Dude,
yeah,
come on, he looks fucking.
It would fit
amazing.
with the timeline. Yeah, oh,
It would. It really would.
these
As
people,
as
man.
an older. Oh man. Oh god.
Johnny Depp too. I mean, they actually made an Invisible Man movie, also made by Universal. So, but that was actually really good. It was a thriller, not very much a horror, but it was a thriller movie. It was kind of modern day Invisible Man using like crazy technology instead of like a formula to turn you invisible. So it was actually a very good movie. I highly recommend it. I think it's on HBO Max as we speak. So
Who is in that movie?
it's the woman from The Handmaid's Tale. I forgot her name.
Oh yeah, I know who she is.
She's the main actress there, and then the guy who plays the Invisible Man, he's kind of still an up and coming actor. He was in
Oliver Jackson.
Haunting of Blythe Manor. He's like in a bunch of Netflix stuff, but he was really good in that movie. But she stole the show. Elizabeth Moss. She stole the show. She was basically the main character of all that, and it was really good. I saw that one in the movie theaters. Pleasantly surprised by it.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's high budget. It was really well done. But let's see. I am done with my initial impressions. Let's get into a rundown of The Mummy, Myles. The movie opens up with a quote, an Egyptian prayer of resurrection. Death is but the doorway to new life. We live today, we shall live again. In many forms shall we return. We cut to England in 1127 AD, and we see some Knights Templars, aka the Freemasons, creating a map on the back of the Declaration of Independence for Nicolas Cage to find in about 1,000 years. No, we're in the wrong movie.
Nice.
We see them bury a red gem in a crypt with one of their dead homies there. And then we cut to present-day England, where an excavation crew finds this burial site, and we learn these knights that are buried in Egypt were in Egypt during the Crusades before being laid to rest in England. We see a mysterious man enter the tomb and clears the area out to make way for his own crew. And by the sound of his voice, you could already tell his name is Russell fucking Crowe, Maximus Decimus Meridius himself, aka a father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife. And
Music to my ears.
he will have his vengeance in this life or the next. And then we see him looking at a special tomb. Within this tomb, an ancient Egyptian burial here, and this man explains the backstory of the person buried there through hieroglyphics. And you may be asking yourself, Myles, Christian, how do you spell the word hieroglyphics? And the answer may surprise you. I still don't know. I didn't even bother to look it up, so I spelt it wrong probably about 5 times in this rundown. In a series of flashbacks, we are introduced to Princess Amenet, whom I will just be calling the Mummy, or Sophia from now on, played by Sophia Botelho, and I love her so much. She is such a good actress. She is smoking hot as well. And then in a series of flashbacks, we learn that she is the sole heir to her father's kingdom, but her dad slices himself a little side of jerky there, and fathers the son with a little cutie out there in ancient Egypt, and this son is now the sole inheritance of the throne. So Sophia decides to embrace evil and makes a pact with the god of death. We see a mummy hand her a dagger and the red gem we saw in the opening of the movie, and as soon as Sophia takes it, she transforms into the mummy itself. And did you like the design of this mummy, by the way?
The design of
this Sophia's character, how she looked with her makeup and the eyes, and compared to
the writing
the
on
other
her,
mummy
writing on her, yeah. I think it was I think it was cool. She was
she is smoking hot. I like this design a lot, actually. I liked it better than what we saw in the past mummy movies with the all CGI kind of nasty skeleton face. I kind of like how
I think she should have if it was going to go in the direction that they wanted us to go, she should have taken the reins. She should have been the face. She should have been the mummy that we got, the super human being that
right
we got.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, she was such a side character in this with with there being the god of death or whatever. I'm like, that. Well, we don't care about that. I want the mummy. Like, I don't care about Tom Cruise either. They made Tom Cruise way more, way more in the spotlight than the actual mummy herself. So that kind of sucks. Sophia was actually really good. And then, yeah, she slices her father's throat, kills the baby, and she approaches a gorgeous man. That man was beautiful. And then we hear Pony by Genuine playing in the background there, and then you're horny, let's do it. And as she mounts this man in cowgirl position, and then she's about to stab this man with the dagger when the Magi step in to save the day and capture her. And then we see Sophia mummified alive and buried far away from Egypt, where she will be condemned to eternal darkness. But yeah, I just want to talk about this scene here for a second here. I did actually enjoy this opening scene here. I like how they kind of took the classic story that we saw in the the 1990 Mummy movie, and they modernized it with a female lead here and didn't go too far from the original storyline. But at the same time, they're trying something new, trying to jumpstart this universe here, which I appreciate. And then now in modern day Iraq. Is it Iraq? I don't know how to say that. Sorry. Iraq. Now we are introduced to our Brendan Fraser of this movie, Nick Morton, played by Scientology's very own Tom Cruise. I was going to say Michael Cruise for some reason. Tom Cruise and his sidekick, Sergeant Vale, played by Nick from New Girl. Totally forgot he was in this movie, a.k.a. Jake Johnson. Which, man, I love him in New Girl. Honestly, he's probably my favorite part of New Girl. I love that show. He said, "You can only have one wife. You have one wife. That's the way of the world." He yells every fucking line in that in that show. And they are searching for some treasure from a letter from a man named Henry. They get into a firefight with some locals there, and the difference between Jake Johnson and Tom Cruise in these action scenes is laughable, because Tom Cruise is so good in these action scenes. He's jumping over shit bad. And he's running. And he's fucking covering and he's yelling out, and then Jake Johnson, he's just out there being Jake Johnson, basically, not an action star, yelling every line he has. Then after an airstrike, a massive sinkhole reveals the burial place of the treasure. Then our boys get chewed out by their sergeant. We are introduced to Jenny Halsey, played by Annabelle Wallace, or Annabelle Wallace Patam, Patam. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna leave that up to her.
I think that's Annabelle Wallace Pine.
You know what? I'm gonna leave that. I'll leave that up to her after the wedding if she wants to. She's a grown woman, Myles. She could do what she wants. Okay, she could hyphen the last name. It's not gonna hurt my feelings at all. But yeah, god damn it, Chris Pine. When I found this out, Myles, I was devastated. I was like, what? Chris Pine, does he need anything else in this world? Chris Pine has got the whole world in front of him. Now he's got the smokiest of smoke shows in his corner with him as well. Not only has he been on screen with Gal Gadot, a supermodel / actress, making out with her, touching her, and now he's with her as well. And he's Captain Kirk in Star Trek. I mean, the man has everything.
He had to make out with Zoe Deschanel. God, what was her name from fucking Gamora?
Gamora, exactly. Gamora. Yeah, Gamora. I mean, the man has it all. I don't understand it. And
oh no, he didn't. He did not.
No, that was Zachary Quinto. He tried to in the first movie, but
that's right,
yeah,
he did.
Yeah, but man, Chris Pine. He must have been one of Jesus's companions back in the day or something, to be reborn as this beautiful man. He's got everything, all the great movie roles. He's got the most beautiful wife. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, you got everything. And then we learn that Nick has stole the map to the treasure from this woman after a night of dirty sin. Then Halsey decides to enter the location of the treasure with Nick and Vale. We get some funny rapport here with Tom Cruise and Jake Johnson, where Tom Cruise was like, keep it down, and then Jake Johnson was like, no, you keep it down. A little bit like flashing the lights in like each other's faces. I kind of like this buddy cop thing that they got here. Then Nick discovers mercury dripping from the ceiling of the cave. Then we see the site of the burial ground, and we get some cool visuals here with a huge pool of mercury. Then Nick activates a pulley system, and a sarcophagus is brought out of the pool of mercury. And we get some big ass spiders here emerging, and Vale goes crazy. Nick Johnson, he just starts, not Nick Johnson, what's his name? Jake Johnson. You know how many times I was writing down Nick Johnson every time? But yeah, Jake Johnson here, he's complaining about the spiders. He's like, one bit me right here on the neck. Can we get out of here? And then Nick takes a look at the sarcophagus and is immediately hypnotized by it, being sentenced in some flashbacks. where we see Sophia in her human form, who thanks him for freeing her, and they share a little smoochy smooch. And then the sarcophagus is airlifted out of the area as a sandstorm approaches. We also see Vale, who was in a lot of pain, is looking pale after being bit by one of the spiders, and we see him eventually lay down and die with his eyes rolling back to his head there. Then Halsey reads the inscriptions on the sarcophagus, which basically tells us the same story Roscoe told us in the beginning of the movie, and Nick gets more flashbacks. We see Vale is now awake in a zombie-like trance, cutting the sarcophagus out of its restraints. And maybe a bad opinion here, but I did not like this not Nick. Fuck, I keep calling him Nick from New Girl. Jake
Vale,
Johnson's character.
Sergeant Vale.
I did not like his character at all. He's completely useless in this whole movie.
Useless.
I don't know why they had a zombie kind of running around doing nothing the whole time, and then at the end when he was riding with him in the sandstorm, I'm like, why? Well, why do you need another partner? Like, he was kind of useless to you in the beginning, and what is he going to do for you now? But yeah, he's cutting the sarcophagus out of the restraints, and he stabs their sergeant, clearly not himself anymore. So Nick pops a couple shots into him.
That was a colonel, by the way. How dare you?
Oh, sorry, Colonel. Colonel. Sorry.
Colonel.
Then we see the plane start to go down due to some sort of supernatural circumstances, with birds flying into the windshield and flying into the engine, making it crash, and a whole lot of crazy stunts here. Basically, stunts out of Mission Impossible movie here. We see like they're getting tossed around in the cab there.
Mm-hmm.
I like the part where he, pulls the parachute. She goes flying out of the door, and then we see him go down with the plane there.
That was pretty intense.
Yeah, it was a very intense scene.
Like it was going down. You're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it's basically a Mission Impossible scene. We cut to a morgue where we see a bunch of dead bodies, and the body of Nick come back to life, and we see Thomas J.S. Cruz, of course the J.S. standing for Julienne Salad, because this man is shredded to the gills at the age of 54, Myles. 54 years old when he made this. And I cannot believe how jacked he is. Did you see how jacked he was in this scene with no shirt? I mean, he's more in shape than any other Mission Impossible movie I've seen him in, and as a fanboy of this Universal Monster Universe, I appreciate Tom's determination to get this universe off the ground, because he went so hard on his body. But unfortunately, if this man can't do it, it just simply cannot be done. Unfortunately, he was the one who carried that Mission Impossible series on his back for decades, and if it's not going to work out with this, it's not going to work out with any other actor. And Nick, now fully naked and resurrected, begins to see strange things like the zombie veil following him around. And we see two men find the crash site, and the sarcophagus now empty. And the mummified body of Sophia has now come back to life and sucks the life force out of these two gentlemen here. Just like the classic Mummy movie in the 1990s, we know and love, always doing the regeneration of their final form by sucking life force out of the living. And then Halsey tells Nick about the dagger of Set, the same dagger we saw Sophia using to bip those dudes back in the flashbacks, along with the red gem buried with the Knight Templar. And legend has it that this weapon, when stabbed into a man, will give life to the Egyptian god of death in physical form. And then Halsey gets her friend Henry on the phone, and Henry tells her to bring Nick to London. And as Nick and Zombie Vale have some more moments here, like buddy cop moments here, where they're like in the bathroom, kind of like staring at each other through the mirror. I was like, it's funny stuff, but I think it just didn't really hit too much for the comedy. And then Zombie Vale tells Nick that they are both cursed, and the only way to break the curse is to do exactly what the mummy wants. And then Nick decides to find the sarcophagus to prove himself that this is all in his head, and Nick and Halsey arrive at the crash site. Nick sees the mummy Sophia calling for him, and he's captured by a group of mummies, and Sophia attempting to stab him to use him as a vessel for Set, but she cannot, since she is missing the red gem for the dagger. Another thing I did not like here, she just found the dagger by punching that stone, like a stone statue, and the dagger was just in there somehow. I don't know if she knew it was there, but maybe that's... he said it after. He was like, "Oh, it was just in there," and he was like, "Yeah, that's how come she drew me. She drew the crash. That's why they crashed there. Interesting.
Yeah,
okay. Now that I'm thinking about it, okay.
And then she was giving him visions to where she was, or where her sarcophagus was, and that's why he was like, "Oh, I know where she is."
Gotcha. Okay.
And yeah, so it was like a ploy, you know.
Okay, yeah.
She was drawing them there. She knew.
Yeah, and then
Yes, I don't know how she knew, but she knew.
and then Nick attempts to get away from the crash site, but ends up right back at the church. And we learned that Sophia has entered Nick's mind, which I kind of like. It's a different twist than the original Mummies. You know, we never had any like supernatural like psychic stuff going on with the 1990s one. So I like this little like mental connection with Nick and Sophia. And then Nick and Halsey get pinned down by the mummy, but a group of men arrive to apprehend the mummy and are taken to London. And Nick is taken through a lab. And we get some really cool shit here, Myles. Again, the only reason why I wanted to review this movie was to see what could have been with this monster universe. We see some specimens of a hand with the web fingers, alluding to that was a creature from the Black Lagoon there. We see a skull with the vampire fangs, and I'm sure there were other things that I probably missed. Do you have a trivia fact for that? I'm not too sure. There was a lot of things that they showed, but I didn't get to see them all. Then Nick is introduced to Russell Crowe's character, who we find out is named Henry Jekyll, Dr. Henry Jekyll. And such a small thing, but my imagination just ran wild with this idea here, this idea of Dr. Jekyll being some sort of Professor X for this monster universe, searching for supernatural beings like himself. Yeah, you know, to this day, this thought gets me moister than an oyster, Myles, but unfortunately this idea never came to fruition. It was stopped dead in its tracks. In terms of movie franchises, this is like the one that got away from me, Myles. Like my lover, whom I never got a chance. You know, it's the one I saw a future with. I thought I saw us making babies and having a house, but she broke my heart, and Universal stomped on it. Beauty is indeed a cruel mistress. We get a scene here. That I love so much. Again, a very small glimpse into what we could have had. Jekyll tells Nick a story about a patient of his, a man of promise. And as he's telling the story, you see Jekyll loading up a little device machine with some medicine in there. Then Jekyll says this man got ill, and disease grew into an overwhelming desire, an unquenchable thirst for the suffering of others. And then as Jekyll is saying this, we see him like slowly start to turn into the Mr. Hyde with a deeper voice, and we see his face kind of turn colors and stuff, which I really like this a lot.
With the deeper, it was more of a rougher accent.
Yeah,
too.
he had that Cockney, like little like nasty Cockney accent. But Jekyll is able to compose himself enough to inject himself with the medicine to keep him from turning. Again, such a quick scene, but I love seeing Russell Crowe really like being able to flex his acting chops here, and the fact that there is now medicine to stop him from turning into Mr. Hyde is really cool. A cool modern day twist on that story, which I wish we would have had a whole movie about this. But you know, goddamn him. And then Jekyll shows Nick where the mummy is being kept, and in prison, we learn that Halsey works for Jekyll, a corporation that recognizes and contains evil, which is really cool too. A little company that Dr. Jekyll founded to fight this evil. And then Jekyll tells them they are planning to destroy this monster and study its body, leaving Nick to be cursed forever. And this is where I think the movie gets interesting. And it creates a new modernized version of this story here. You know, the mummy tells Nick that he is cursed forever, and they will kill him, and they plan on killing her, which kind of puts Nick in a pickle here, right? He's forced, he's almost forced into working with the mummy for survival, changing the course of this story throughout the rest of this movie, which is an interesting concept, a concept that I don't hate, but I think it's the majority of the audiences who watch this that didn't like it. And at the Templar's burial site, the red gem has finally been found, and the mummy can sense it. And then Jekyll has a drink with Nick and welcomes him into the new world of gods and monsters, a line that I love so much. And as this is happening, Jekyll is slowly starting to turn into Mr. Hyde. And then Jekyll tells Nick they found the gem and plan on stabbing Nick with the dagger, bringing Set to human form and destroying it, which honestly another reason why I actually like this movie. The plan that Dr. Jekyll comes up with actually makes sense. It's kind of like a rational idea, right? About it's killing this god in human form, which would destroy the curse forever after that, right? So you're not just gonna have a goddamn immortal being out there like Nick just being a goddamn liability. You have no idea what he's gonna do. And then in my favorite scene here in this whole movie, Jekyll is getting worse now, running out of time before he turns. He's trying to get the medicine into his system. Then Halsey is taken out of the room by one of Jekyll's dudes, and right before Jekyll goes full hide, he tells Nick to run, which I like a lot. I was like, oh, that one last, he's like, just run, get out of here. And then he hits the button, which locks down the whole room. Another like cool like modern day twist on this. And then we see Mr. Hyde, and it doesn't look great, honestly. Like the way his face looks, it looks bad, like with all the like dark makeup and stuff. But it's just the idea and the possibilities of this that get me excited. They have a big fight here. And then Nick puts Russell Crowe's hand to the scanner, and it comes up as E. Hyde, which I really like too. And he's like, bro, they're not gonna let me in here. Come on.
Yeah, he said they never let me out of here.
They never let me out. And Nick finally injects him with the medicine, and Jekyll comes back, and then he tells him, well done, Mr. Morton, as he has like the thing in his chest, which I like a lot too. And then Halsey grabs Nick to escape to destroy the stone, so the ritual can never be completed. The mummy also eventually escapes, achieving her final form by sucking the life out of all these dudes, and takes the dagger for herself. Then we get a whole lot of like mummy classic superpowers here. And I actually like the scene. I thought it was a good modern day twist on this as well, with the sand and stuff, but it's in the city of London instead of, being out in the desert in Egypt. And then we see Nick with Zombie Vale again, who leads them to the location of the stone. And then the mummy eventually finds the stone and attaches it to the dagger. In this scene here, Myles, I'm looking at Sophia, and this might be the hottest mummy I've ever seen in my life, if I'm being honest. Like, if I was Tom Cruise, I'd be like, I will serve this mummy for all goddamn eternity. I do not care. Take me away, Sophia. I'm all yours. And then we see a group of zombies take zombies. Mummies. Why did I write zombies? A group of mummies.
They look like zombies.
Yeah, I did not like the design of all those like Templar mummies. They look really bad. It looked like really low production, and it's Universal. Come on, man. Universal's got all the best production out there. How dare you give us this like 1990s kind of costumes that they have? Like, give us better makeup than that. And we see a group of zombies or mummies take Nick and Halsey away, and Halsey appears to be dead now from drowning. And then Nick and the mummy meet face to face for one last time. The mummy dagger and stone in one hand, and my heart and soul in her other hand. God damn it, Sophia. Then Nick takes the dagger out of the mummy's hand, and it attempts to destroy the stone. And in a very, I like this writing here, to be honest. When he takes a look at Halsey's character, and he's like, how do I save her? I gotta become this god to save her. So what does he do? He takes the fucking knife and he stabs himself with it, which I was out of the movie. In the beginning, I was in. Middle of the movie, I was out. And then towards the end of this movie, I was like, oh, I'm back in again. I like this storytelling. This is interesting. This is modernizing it. This is turning it on its head. And then, he stabs himself, turning into the god Set. And then he seems to have died for a moment as the gem loses color but comes back to life. He just drops the dagger.
It's black, though.
Yeah. And then his eyes like turn into like those weird like double pupils that we see. And then with his new power, he goes full Neo on her ass, on the mummy. She's like punching, and he's like just one hand behind his back, and he's just pop, 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 pop. And then he beats the shit out of my girlfriend. How dare he? And then he drains the life out of the mummy, turning her back into a corpse. And then Nick goes back to Halsey's body and is able to bring her back to life. And then she grabs the dagger and realizes what Nick has done, and sees him trying to fight off this evil inside of him. Another scene that I liked a lot too, where like we see him in the shadows, and we can kind of see him like struggling to keep his composure and stay normal. And then Jekyll and Halsey have a talk to end the movie, and Jekyll tells her that Nick is now a monster. We see Nick in the desert with a resurrected Vale, which, again, Vale, completely useless character. Don't need him anymore in this movie. And then they ride off into the desert to find a cure to break his curse. And then we get more VO from Jekyll and Halsey, talking about how Nick is a good man, And maybe they can use him as an ally, like an old friend from Pacific Rim once said. To fight monsters, we created monsters of our own. And then that concept really intrigued me after watching this movie. Like, I'm still not sure if I like that. If you're going to use Tom Cruise as kind of half monster, half human kind of thing to fight other monsters, like, how does that work? How does his powers work? Is that going to be useful against other monsters? Like, what if you got to fight the creature from the Black Lagoon? You got to go in the water, like
pocket sand.
Well, yeah, what's sand gonna do in the water? You're a mummy. But yeah, I don't think it would have worked out, honestly, as Tom Cruise kind of being this good/evil character. I think you gotta go full evil, right? If you're gonna do Monster Universe, don't make them good. There's no good in these monsters. Make them full evil.
Yeah.
But it sparked my interest nonetheless. Yeah, and then we get that final shot of Nick and Vale riding on horseback through the desert, creating a sandstorm behind them, which I think I liked. But what is a sandstorm gonna do? You know, like, how's that gonna help you fight? Darud, yeah, and that's other than in the club. What is Sandstorm gonna do for you? Yeah, that should have been the end credits song there.
Oh my god.
Myles, you got any more trivia for us?
I do. I have actually quite a bit here. Since this was like a movie that kind of had a lot going into it,
Yeah,
a lot going on, not just in terms of the mummy, which was kind of like took a sidecar to it, you know. So I'll start with the plot point ones. So the movie introduces Russell Crowe as Dr. Henry Jekyll, aka Mr. Edward Hyde, which was supposed to set up the character for a standalone film in Universal's Monster.
I would have really liked to see that, man. I love Russell Crowe so much, and to see him, you know, being able to flex his chops with two different characters would have been so cool to see. Yeah.
Just after Nick sees the skull with fangs in Prodigium, the arm of the Gilman, aka creature from the Black Lagoon, can be seen floating in one of the jars.
So cool,
to the right.
dude. I love that scene. I didn't even remember that scene until I watched it again. I was like, oh shit, this is fucking dope. I didn't even realize they had all these monster stuff in here.
So in that same in Jekyll's office area, when what's her face? What was the girl's name? Halsey. When she takes and she knocks out one of those guys with a book, and then they zoom in on it for a second.
Yes,
it's the Book of the Dead.
God damn it!
It's got the star pattern in it where you can put that's the actual book that they used in The Mummy and The Mummy Returns.
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah. That's dope. Yeah. Good Easter egg there.
Yeah. Hyde. Okay, so this one's kind of funny. Hyde calls Nick young during their fight scene, even though in real life Tom Cruise is almost 2 years older than Russell Crowe.
What?
Yeah.
Older than Russell Crowe.
He's older than Russell Crowe, and he looks like that.
What the fuck? Russell Crowe looks like he's 10 years older than him in this movie.
He does.
Holy fucking... This is the most mind-blowing fact you've ever told me in my life. Holy shit. 2 years older.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's mind-blowing. Mind-boggling. I'll give you that.
Good. I mean, shout out to Russell Crowe in that scene though. I like his physical like acting too, where he as Dr. Jekyll, he's kind of like limping and stuff, and he's like he's big and fat and he's hurt, and then he turns into Mr. Hyde and he's like fucking flexing his suit and his muscles like that. I'm like, oh, that's dope.
I like that. When Dr. Jekyll turns into Hyde, his character changes. This is what you mentioned.
Yeah.
His character trades his upper class accent to a Cockney accent.
It's a nasty one too. Mr. Morrow.
This trope to differentiate Jekyll from Hyde was first used in an obscure musical version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. While Kirk Douglas's imitation of the Cockney accent was almost comedic, the change in accent was later used in other adaptations, including the Broadway musical version.
Ah, very cool.
Yeah. We saw it a little bit in Van Helsing, but we only heard Dr. Jekyll speak.
That was a
like
nasty accent too. Yeah,
when he was falling in the air, through the air. Let me go to regular. Okay, here we go. The zero gravity scene. took 64 takes and was shot for 2 days on
Oh
one
my
of those
God.
special planes that
Oh,
was
yeah,
padded in
yeah.
green screen, so it goes up high altitude and it
Yeah,
drops.
vomit comet. Yeah.
The vomit comet, exactly. It dives along a parabolic path, falling at the same rate as a gravitational pull. So that's how you're able to kind of like sit there with gravity.
That had to be Tom Cruise's idea. There's no fucking way these people at Universal were like, yeah, well, in the Mummy movie, we'll have anti-gravity.
God.
Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? The Mummy.
This was used for several films in the past, including Apollo 13, 22 years earlier. It was invented by NASA, where it was used for zero-G training for astronauts. Reportedly, a lot of the crew got nauseous during the scene and vomited.
I would be
Except for-
extremely sick, Tom Cruise.
Right? Motion sickness already,
Yeah,
for you.
I'd be dead.
Except
yeah.
for the main characters, Tom Cruise and Annabelle Wallace, who were really proud of the stunt.
Good for Tom
So-
Cruise. The man doesn't miss. I mean, incredible. His body. That's all I gotta say again. I have to mention it one more time.
When Jake Johnson was offered his part in the film, he loved the idea and opportunity to work with Tom Cruise, knowing that Cruise does most of his own stunts. He signed on immediately, but when he read the full script and learned what kind of dangerous actions were expected of him, he admitted to getting cold feet. However, Cruise allowed Johnson to access to his private facilities for a rigorous 4.5-month training course, making him well prepared for all the stunts he was required to do.
He has his own facility for stunt
Yeah, I don't
training.
even
That
know
is
what that
dope.
looked like.
I would love to do that.
What does that even look
That'd
like,
be,
dude?
4 months. God damn. That's a whole like boot camp, dude. Holy shit. That's crazy.
Mhm.
It's like
So the
military
film's-
training.
I know, right? The film's tagline, "Welcome to a new world of gods and monsters,"
I
is a
love
quote
that
from
line.
Bride of Frankenstein, which was also produced by Universal and would have been the next installment in the Dark Universe franchise that the Mummy had caught on.
I've never seen the Bride of Frankenstein. Like, why would they need the Bride of Frankenstein? Now, that's what I'm wondering too.
Yeah, I don't know why it would have to be the bride. Maybe it's the bride of
Oh,
Dr.
the Dr.
Frankenstein,
right.
and then he died, and that's why, and,
Yeah,
or
okay.
she died, or
Interesting.
something. I don't know.
I've never seen a single Frankenstein movie, honestly. Like any of those like old Frankenstein movies, never seen any.
Me
of them.
neither. This is why
No.
we need these,
Yeah.
you know? Man,
Never read a book.
big
Yeah.
Yeah, right. A big fan of Peaky Blinders. Tom Cruise personally requested Annabelle Wallace to audition for the film.
Dude, she is so good in Peaky Blinders. Peaky Blinders is fantastic, but yeah, I love. That's where I fell in love with her. Was in Peaky Blinders. There was a whole time. There was a whole period of my life where I watched the first season. I was like, I can't watch this. I can't concentrate on the show. Yeah, I couldn't concentrate. I was like, she is so hot. I could not concentrate. But spoilers, she eventually dies. So I was like, okay, now I can carry on with the show.
Okay, I can carry on. That's good. The mummy's design and gender were altered to avoid similarity. The titular villain of X-Men Apocalypse 2016.
Oh, damn it! Yeah, it is kind of like the same. One of the probably the worst X-Men movie of all time. Hated that goddamn Apocalypse. I remember watching that and almost crying. Like, what did you do? What have you done to my boy? You've massacred my boy, my X-Men series, my precious X-Men. You massacred them.
So I got a couple more here. I told you there was a lot. When Universal was planning their Dark Universe franchise, they originally envisioned Dracula Untold.
That's the
2014,
one. Dracula Untold. Yes.
as the first installment, with this film being the second. That film ended with Dracula in modern day times, while the master vampire said, "Let the games begin," in a very obvious setup for future installments. However, as this film progressed in development, the connections between the two films were eliminated.
So that movie, actually not bad either. Like that, I think you should watch that. I put that on the Plex server. It's a very cool, I mean, even though it's set in the ancient times, it's a cool modern day, like, reboot of the Dracula series. And it has, who's that actor? The guy who plays Gaston.
Luke Evans.
Luke Evans. Dude, he's really good in it. Yeah, it's
Oh, it
actually
has
pretty good.
Dominic Cooper also. He's a great actor.
I don't remember anybody else. Like,
Sarah Gadon.
I literally only remember Luke Evans, but I still remember actually liking it. It has a Tyrion, not Tyrion,
Tywin.
Tywin, yeah, Tywin's in it. But yeah, I remember liking the ending of it, of that movie. So I
Dude,
think you
his
should
fucking
definitely watch
armor
it.
looks sick.
Yeah,
as
that's what I'm
fucking-
saying, dude.
Holy
That's what I'm saying
shit.
about the updated kind of modernized take on it. Yeah, he was like
Yeah, I
a
like
like a
that.
soldier, and he's using his powers on the battlefield. Like that's fucking dope, dude. To wipe out like whole armies. It's a dope concept. You should watch it.
That's pretty cool.
I
like
have it
that,
on
yeah.
I have it on the Plex, so go check it out when you have a chance. Yeah.
So Javier Bardem, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tom Hardy, and
JLG.
Eddie Redmayne. Yeah. Tom Hardy and Eddie Redmayne were all considered to play Henry before Russell Crowe was cast in the role. Bardem was then cast as Frankenstein's monster in a planned sequel.
I would have loved to see at least some concept art of Javier Bardem as Frankenstein, man. That would have been so cool to at least see.
Yeah, that would have at least. I want to see it. And the last one here, I hated this one. I know you will too.
Oh Jesus!
When Amunet is mummified and is put in the sarcophagus, the lid was too close to Sophia Boutella's face, and it hit her right in the nose.
Ooh.
All the bandages around her were soaked with blood.
Oh shit!
After the bloody bandages were removed, the second take was done. Only this time the lid was further away from her face. How dare they hit?
Don't you dare touch her! Don't lay a finger on her! Don't look at her!
Look at her! Don't even.
Oh, poor Sophia, man. I thought she was so underrated in this movie. They did. I don't think they utilized her character enough, man.
No, they didn't. Like I said, she should have been where this went.
She should have been the one riding in front of the whole desert. Like she should have been the one riding off on the horse at the very end of the movie. You know what I mean? But yeah, they should have turned her into like an agent for themselves, and they could have helped her out. But
Yeah.
it's unfortunate. Now Tom Cruise is an immortal. I mean, the man's already not aging like a normal man in real life. Now you're gonna make him an immortal in the movie universe. How dare you?
Dare you?
Myles, final thoughts on The Mummy 2017.
I would say I'm looking forward
Like
to
it?
what's
Didn't like it? Recommend it? Don't recommend it. What do you
I
got?
would not recommend this movie
Okay.
because, and I'll tell you why. Here we go. All right, because it sets up something that will never happen, and it pisses you off, and it doesn't need to be made.
Yeah.
So that's it.
You know what? I'm going to take the high road here. I'm going to say I do recommend it. I do recommend it solely just for that scene with Russell Crowe, just because I like Russell Crowe, and it is kind of his comeback back into the mainstream movies. He had a lot of legal issues over the past decade or so. So to see him come back and to kind of be the head of this franchise here, I thought that was pretty cool to see, especially with a character that we haven't seen in a while there. And go watch it for Sophia Botella, my wife, my girlfriend. But I thought she was a good mummy. Wasn't used enough, but I thought it was a great modern day take with a female lead for the Mummy. But I guess that is it. Next week we got The Wolfman coming up, and we got is it only 2 more movies, Myles? Wolfman.
Yeah,
and
well,
then
American Psycho.
coming up. So you already started watching The Wolfman. I think
Yeah,
you told me. No worries. It's not a very long movie, so
It's a slow burn.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to like any crazy shit yet.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's I like you tease yourself a little. So yeah, we got The Wolfman coming up this week, and then American Psycho on the 30th. So I'm excited about that. But Myles, I wanted to talk to you about what we're gonna do next month. Next month is the month of November. We have 2 choices here. We got either holiday movies or the Chronicles of Riddick series. And if we're gonna do holiday movies, I got 3 in mind here. I got Elf. I got Just Friends, and I was thinking we could just do The Grinch again, since I love it so much. And you could probably do the rundown on that one too. So
That's so. What did you have slated for December?
December is all The Matrix.
All the Matrix.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we have to do holiday in November if we're gonna do it. So, or January, but it's not fun to do holiday stuff after the holidays. You know what I mean?
Let's fucking get it right after November 1st hits. I'm in Christmas.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you want to do Christmas? We're doing Christmas in November. All right,
we can save Riddick for next year.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, we're gonna do Christmas, and I'm gonna make this a yearly tradition. I'm saying we're doing The Grinch every fucking year because I love it so goddamn much, and I think it'd be fun if you and I we could switch between doing the plot rundown on this, and it'd just be
cool.
funny.
Yeah,
it'd just be funny to do because you and I could talk about that shit and quote that every goddamn year. So that's never gonna get old for us, but might get old for the audience. But it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Fuck, we're not doing it for you now.
Well, that is about it, Myles. Give them the plugs, and we are out of here for this podcast.
Sortainteresting.com. That's where this podcast is located, as well as all of our podcasts from the past. You just saw it earlier in the podcast. You could see our website. We scrolled through it. There's thumbnails from all the podcasts. Not all of those have videos attached to them, but if you go to YouTube, youtube.com, you search Sort of Interesting, you can see the ones that do have a video attached to them. We've got a library, a building of
La Biblioteca.
catalog
Yeah.
of Donde está la biblioteca? Brushing up on my Spanish because we're opening the gym in Mexico.
Donde está la biblioteca?
Are you reading the dictionary? You got me. Oh, we gotta do a Ben Stiller series.
Just kidding, but seriously.
Seriously.
But seriously. Just kidding, but seriously.
Good. Yeah, that's also our Patreon. It's linked there and Sort of Interesting website. Go check it out. Go donate. Go just give us a review also on podcasts, Spotify, on fucking wherever our podcasts, wherever you listen to us.
Apple Podcasts, we got some. We're perfect ratings still on that Apple Podcast. Perfect 5-star. 5-star. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we don't want to lose that, but we want to get your feedback. All right,
Yeah.
we want to know what you guys think, and we're gonna do this regardless. But it'd be nice to know what you guys think of this. With that being said, that's all we got this week.
That is it. We will see you next week for the Wolfman. Have an interesting day, everybody.
T Pollen out.